First of all, look at the awful weather. Look at that awful blue sky. So as you can see, it's really bright out here. I've got the sun over here, and I'm hoping that that's not casting me in too much shadow for you, but if I turn round, I'll end up with it too bright for me. I've just shared a video that I watch with Robert Reich. I really enjoy listening to him and Heather talking about what's going on politically in the US now. So I've just shared that. I like how the rapport that they have, and quite a lot of the political commentators I watch have a rapport, and so they bounce off each other, and I quite enjoy that. Somebody in comments has said to me that I have been, is it corrupted by mainstream media? Or was it? I can't remember quite what they said, but I'm sort of thinking, well, we're all corrupted by something, if you want to use that word. That's where I don't look at a lot of MSN. I hate that MSN because it didn't used to be a thing, and now it's a thing, and I think it's a thing because of Trump. It didn't used to be a thing when I was a younger adult, when I was growing up. It was just media. It was just the news, or the newspapers, or the wherever. There was no internet, so you didn't have any other choices of incoming news. And I guess we've all gone on different paths, or many of us have gone on different paths, of no fault of our own. And Yankee Farm Wife commented on my JD Vance video, which was really nice. Hello. And she talked about radicalization, and it reminded me that we always think of radicalization as happening to those men over there in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Palestine, and all of that. We always think of those young people being radicalized and don't realize that we too can be radicalized over here by the people that sow division and polarize us. So we're not immune from that. It's just we use that word against people and never really recognize that we too can be radicalized. So maybe I've been radicalized to be looking at stuff that sounds intelligent and seems correct and seems sane. And what I'm witnessing with Trump and with JD Vance and with Laura Loomer, she's come off in from left field. I hadn't heard of her, but she was at the Twin Towers memorial on 9/11. She was with Trump, and she believes apparently that the Twin Towers was an inside job. There's quite a few. I've heard we have friends who were convinced. I hope you're not watching this, Ron. I don't think you are. Who were convinced that the Twin Towers and all that happened on that day was an inside job. And so she believes that the Twin Towers was an inside job. She looks awful. She looks very scary. She looks full of Botox. And I sort of think that people that have to use, this is probably going to piss a few people off, some of my subscribers off if they use plastic surgery, but you know, if you're using Botox, plastic surgery, all of that sort of stuff, it means that you're more willing to accept fake, I suppose. That's just come into my head from nowhere, so Yeah, that's quite spontaneous, but it's true. It's like I prefer my people to be real. Um, so yeah, when that wind chime goes, you know that the wind's coming from the north. It's quite breezy and quite, I can feel it. It's quite cool. Um, we went into Chauvigny yesterday to do a little bit of shopping. It's so nice to have the car back. I know I said that, but I didn't realise quite how much I missed our car. So I sort of wanted to go out yesterday, which is really ridiculous, to celebrate having the car back. So it was a day like today. There was there's no clouds. There were clouds, but it was bright. It was afternoon, so it was warm and sunny. And we needed a light bulb, and we needed some batteries, and I got my glasses adjusted because they'd got a bit loose. I don't know whether it's because I'm not losing weight on the scales, but I do feel that I'm still reducing width-wise, and my glass had begun to drop off when I'm doing stuff, which is really irritating. So I got those adjusted, and then we bought I bought a palmier. I love palmiers. I bought a palmier, and Mark had a millefeuille, and we had coffee in the square in Chauvigny. It is our favourite town of our surrounding towns, and it was just a really lovely afternoon to sit there drinking coffee, eating cake. Illegal for me, not illegal in terms of on the intermittent fasting, you know, and you're in your window you can eat, but illegal in terms of gluten and sugar. And I've had quite a bit more gluten recently, which has caused me a lot of pain. So I have managed now to get hold of some more gluten-free wraps, because I think with it being the holidays and tourists being over, the shelves were empty of those. So I've now got some of those, which is the go-to for me at supper time. When we were sitting in the square, I didn't realise, but we were sitting, I'd ordered the coffee, Mark had gone to the bank to get money so we could pay with cash. We were sitting drinking our coffee, and the couple next to us, the waiter came over to serve them, and they were English, and didn't even bother to speak any French, and that really pushes my buttons when people don't even attempt to speak the language of the country they're in. You know, it's so simple to learn what beer is, because they were just ordering beer, but it was like just spoken English, like it's sort of a sense, I get a sense of entitlement from people like that, like you should speak my language. It feels so arrogant, really makes me angry, as you can tell. So yeah, I don't hear that very often. Very rarely I'm reminded of that, but I was yesterday, so I was a bit shocked. I've just made, and we've just eaten, I made buckwheat pasta, so gluten-free pasta, which was a bit rustic. I said to Mark, "It's going to be a bit rustic." I mean, it doesn't look attractive because it's sort of beige brown. The recipe had no eggs in it, so there's no rich pasta colour to it. Um, and it's got psyllium husk in it to replace the gluten, and it was supposed to have arrowroot in it, which I misread and used corn flour. I don't have arrowroot anyway, and I used corn flour, but I'm sure it had the same effect. It wasn't a lot of ingredients. It mixed up really well. It was a bit like, it looked like that pastry I made the other day. It was the same colour as that. Mixed up really well, rolled out really well, although it stuck a couple of times, but that's okay. You have to flour your board really well. I couldn't find my better rolling pin. I have no idea where that is. I looked in every drawer. So I cooked it, and you only cook it for 2 minutes. And I had to cook it in 2 batches so that it didn't all clump together. It was pretty clumpy anyway. So I served Mark's up first, and I had made mushroom, garlic, and rosemary sauce with a bit of cream. The sauce was really nice, and I suppose the pasta was okay. He liked it. He said, "Oh, that was nice. You can do that again." And I said, I left some of mine. I ate my sauce and probably 2/3 of the pasta, but it isn't something that you would serve up to someone. Put it that way. If someone was coming here for a meal, I was embarrassed, not embarrassed to serve it up to Mark, but I was a bit trepidatious. I mean, he is pretty good. He'll eat anything. But yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be complimentary, but he was. So yeah, I'll have to come up with another plan, I think, or look for another recipe. Um, Maybe with different flours, not buckwheat, because buckwheat's brown, sort of a whole has a whole meal look about it. So I think I could do with a recipe that's got eggs in, and is a different colour flour that's brighter, lighter, so it's more attractive to look at. I put the cuckoo marron back, and I'll do that in a minute. I tried to feed her more Marmite and bread, and this time I put some olive oil on it. And because I'm holding her, because everybody's around trying to steal it, I'm holding her. I hadn't got protective clothing on, which is really stupid of me. Um, so I'm holding her, and she's getting a bit in her beak, and then she's shaking her head, and I'm just getting covered in olive oil. So I put her back in the run in the run yesterday, so she'd got access to food, and I put her in there with some corn, which I was surprised. It looked like she didn't really bother with the corn. She's very light, and I just want to pre-warn you that it might be that she dies unless I can feed her up. I don't know why she's not eating. I know she's bullied, so my plan is to go and do some food for her. I'm going to butter the bread because I want her to get some fat inside her. Put some food in, do some food up, and take it down and put her in the run on her own with that, so she gets all of it, and then leave her in the run so she's got access to the run and the food in the coop, because she doesn't do a lot of moving around, because obviously she's so light and thin that she will lack the energy to be mooching around the garden in the way the others. So I often find her sitting under a shrub or sitting somewhere. She's always sitting. So I don't have high hopes for her, but I will do what I can and try and feed her up and keep giving the Marmite, which is the vitamin B part of the equation, and ACV, and see if that helps. But I'm not very hopeful. Right, so, oh, it's so nice out here. I think I'm going to read. I was reading Ade Edmondson's autobiography, and that's just reminded me of bees just gone over. I really enjoyed it, and I've finished it now, and I'm reading something else. Can't remember the name of it now. I've only just started it, so I don't feel connected very well to it yet, but that'll come. We sat last night, we're watching, re-watching, because we watched it years ago when it was broadcast. We're watching Line of Duty. We watched series 1 on, what day is it today? Sunday, on Friday, and the last episode last night. And then we've watched, and I recall that I didn't see series 1. I said to Mark, I don't remember seeing this back when you were watching it, so I think he watched it on his own. We're now watching series 2, and as soon as that started, within minutes, I said to him, I'm remembering this. And so, yeah, quite a bit of it's familiar to me. But whilst we were sitting there, we had a fire alight, because it's getting really cold in the evening, and the house suddenly cools down. It's really warm out here in the afternoon, and then 5 o'clock, suddenly you can feel the temperature going down. So the fire was alight, and when normally in summer we start getting loads of hornets come down the chimney. They nest in the chimney, and they come down and they're queens and they're wanting to get out, and you're constantly getting up and opening the door to let them out. Well, last night, I think we probably had about 20 whilst we were trying to watch. Not all at once, but they come down in twos and threes, and then you sit down and then you can hear zzz, you think, oh, fucking hell. So I think we probably let out about 20 last night. And I'm sure that'll happen tonight. Mark came down this morning, and I mean, I think he exaggerated a bit, but he said he let 30 out. I don't think he let them. I think he probably let maybe 20 out. It sounds frightening, but it isn't. They're not wanting to sting you. They're wanting to get out so they can go and make another nest. But you know, I'm quite worried that what we're doing is we're letting them out, and then they're going back up to the chimney, and it's like people say they don't go back and nest in the same spot. Well, I can tell you they do. What they do is they destroy the previous nest and use the material from the previous nest to make a new one. And all behind the fire you can see what I think is nest material. And we're going to book for the chimney sweep to come next week or the week after. We'll book it tomorrow, but I don't know when they'll come. And they'll vacuum all that up. But I think Mark put a metal sheet in into the chimney to reduce the heat loss from the wood burner. But I think there must be a gap at the back, and that's where the hornets come down. Because we thought that would stop the hornets from coming down, but it hasn't, which is disappointing, to say the least. So in the end, last night we stopped watching at about 9:30, I think. We'd watched 2 episodes and that was enough. So we went back to our normal activities, him in his room, me in here. And then, you know, I was getting the odd hornet. And in the end, I just went to bed because I thought, I can't. This is just driving me insane. And you get paranoid, and you get paranoid and you think you can hear one. You know, you just think, oh, I can hear another one. Normally you can. But sometimes you're sort of paranoid and there isn't really one. So yeah, I think I'm going to sit out and read, as it's so nice out here. Have a second cup of coffee and make the most of this weather. Because I don't know how long it's going to last. Although it does actually look like we've got some nice weather mostly for the rest of the month. And getting a bit warmer. So that would be nice. Right, Mark's got another appointment with the anaesthetist tomorrow. We only saw him 4 weeks ago, but you can't double up, so he couldn't have that appointment in advance of his knee. It has to be within so many weeks of the knee op, which is now only 4 weeks away. So, yeah, so he's got an appointment in the morning with the anaesthetist. Okay. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for the people that are annoyed with me, are helping my algorithm.